again, knowing that that had absolutely nothing to do with an apolitical or perhaps even left-leaning criminal who killed these innocents and injured so many. I know that it isn't about me personally, but it is about the message that I am not hesitant at all to spread across this country, and that is that our country is on the wrong track. We've got to get put back on the right track, and we have to elect those officials who can adopt and enact policy to allow us to be prosperous and healthy and safe again. And I know that a lot of those on the left hate my message, and they'll do all that they can to stop me because they don't like the message. But again, we know that it's not just me. It's all who seem to embrace the time-tested truths that help build our country. They do not like to hear that message, and as many of them have promised to do, they'll do what they can to destroy the message and the messenger. Yeah. We hear now of this desire, this demand for civility and discussion when it comes to political debate, and certainly I agree with the idea of being civil. By definition, civil means being well-mannered. Yes, we should be respectful, we should be civil, but we should not use an event like that in Arizona to stifle debate and that time-honored and cherished tradition that we have in America, being able to respectfully petition our government and protest peacefully and respectfully in order to effect the change that we would like to see in our government. In a situation like we have just faced in these last 8 days of being falsely accused of being accessory to murder, I and others need to make sure that we too are shedding light on truth so that a lie cannot continue to live. Because if a lie does live, then of course your career is over, your reputation is thrashed, and you will be ineffective in what it is that you are trying to do. So I will continue to speak out. They're not going to shut me up. They're not going to shut you up, or Rush, or Mark Levin, or Tea Party patriots, or those who, as I say, respectfully and patriotically petition their government for change. They can't make us sit down and shut up. And if they ever were to succeed in doing that, then our republic will be destroyed. Not necessarily me being sat down and shut up, but having the voice of respectful dissent being shut up. That would destroy our republic.
Hey, I'm not saying anybody should be shut down.
Yes, but others are. You're
no
not.
one. Who's saying anybody should be shut down?
For civility.
Wait a minute, Megan. Who's trying to shut who down? Who's trying to shut anybody down?
That's the question. Is that the theory is this call for civility in fact an effort to silence critics who
wait a minute.
Listen, the theory. Let me just finish the theory. This is from this article. The theory is that other conservatives have said this, that they're trying to silence Republicans or conservatives or Tea Party people who have been successful in winning back control of the House, winning back more seats in the Senate, and they're worried about how successful they might be in 2012.
Paul Brown of Georgia, the congressman who said that Obama was just spewing his venom, said the reason Democrats wanted to sit with Republicans was to shut them down, to shut them off, to silence them.
Put the hand over the mouth?
That's absurd. This isn't a crazy conspiracy right-wing theory that somehow is accusing the left of when they call for civility, what they really want is to shut you up? No. So what's wrong with just calling for civility for its own sake? Well, so we should be condemned because people on my side of the plate call for us to be civil? And they spin this into some kind of a bad, evil plot to shut you down?
This is crazy. I think there's a question about the timing, right? Because people wondered why that came
happens to come after Tucson and after the State of the Union address when Democrats and Republicans sat together. Yeah, that's the timing.
The far left in this country is essentially anti-American.
Oh, please.
They are,
and so
a lot of their philosophy. I'm not saying you, Holmes. So a lot of their philosophy, I'm not saying you, Holmes, I'm saying the broader far left has an anti-American agenda that in many ways dovetails with the kind of reporting that you see coming out.
I want to know who's saying the far left. Look,
I'm so tired of people calling people on my side anti-American.
Are you a far left guy? Or
I don't know. You've called me that.
Sometimes your positions are
all right, fine. But am I anti-American?
I don't think you're anti-American, but certainly the far left is taking anti-American position.
Let's stop this name calling. Let's stop this demonizing of anybody we don't agree with and call them anti-American.
I just ran a talk.
Are you afraid? Are you fearful today?
You know, I'm not. We've had hundreds and hundreds of protesters over the course of the last several months. Our office corner has really become an area where the Tea Party movement congregates, and the rhetoric is incredibly heated. Not just the calls, but the emails, the slurs. So, I mean, things have really gotten spun up. I mean, we've got to think about it. Our democracy is a light, a beacon, really, around the world because we affect change at the ballot box and not because of these, you know, outbursts of violence in certain cases and the yelling and the, you know, it's just, you know, change is important. It's a part of our process, but it's really important that we focus on the fact that we have a democratic process. They really need to realize that the rhetoric and firing people up and, you know, even things, for example, we're on Sarah Palin's targeted list, but the thing is that the way that she has it depicted has the crosshairs of a gun sight over our district. And when people do that, they've got to realize there's consequences to that action.
A Crypto News viewer sent us several photos. We're told around 9:30 this morning, he and his friends were working ground maintenance when they found this backpack behind a garbage can near Washington and Maine. He says his friends opened it and saw several wires extending from a plastic package. They put the bag down and called 911.
Shame that this had to happen on a day like today, but it's better safe than be sorry.
He seemed to celebrate the shooting of that Arizona congresswoman.
And now an Arlington man is under investigation, and police are concerned enough they've taken away his guns.
It was the headline, "One down and 534 to go," that caught the attention. It came from the blog of Arlington businessman Travis Corcoran right after the shootings in Tucson, Arizona. The one, Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords. The 534, the members of the House and Senate.
We learn from all this that the right lives in a perpetual state of victimhood. We learn that the right does not even recognize the irony of its claim of being unfairly blamed for the violence of others when it has spent the last several years doing exactly that to Muslims, particularly American Muslims. We also learn that the right can simultaneously insist that no political party or inclination can be blamed for Tucson, while it itself blames the Democratic Party and the left for Tucson. We learn that the right does not understand that if we foment a political environment in which politics are to be settled by violence, or the threat of violence, or in a rhetorical tide of violent imagery, it no longer matters what those politics specifically are, or if the hearer even understands your politics or agrees with your politics. He may hear only the permission to be violent. And ultimately we learn, especially from Mrs. Palin's foolishness, this template of what the right would do in an actual open and shut slam dunk case in which a partisan of the right attempted to kill one of the left. The right would blame the victim, blame him or her for not having brought enough security, or for not having brought a gun.
Even if the alleged terrorist Jared Lee Loughner was merely shooting into a political crowd because he wanted to shoot into a political crowd, even if he was somehow unaware who was in that crowd, we have, nevertheless, for years, been building up to a moment just like this. Despite the YouTube videos of what appears to be Loughner referring specifically to the 8th Congressional District of Arizona, Gabby Giffords' district, assume the details are coincidence. The violence is not. The rhetoric has devolved and descended past the ugly and past the threatening and past the fantastic and into the imminently murderous. And what you and I must understand was that the man who fired today did not fire at a Democratic congresswoman and her supporters. He was not just a madman incited by 1,000 daily temptations by slightly less madmen to do things they would not rationally condone. He fired today into our liberty and our rights to live and to agree or disagree in safety and in freedom from fear that our support or opposition will cost us our lives or our health or our sense of safety. At a time of such urgency and impact, we as Americans, conservative or liberal, should pour our hearts and souls into our politics. We should not, none of us, not Gabby Giffords, not any conservative, ever have to pour our blood. And every politician and commentator who hints otherwise, or worse still stays silent now, should have no place in our political system and should be denied that place, not by violence, but by being shunned and ignored.